Yeah, good day, dear esteemed viewer, and welcome to our today's edition of Citizens and with Law, a program that is aimed at demystifying all issues standing as strange before the gullible heads and lay persons. The Igbo man used to say, Eziafa kego. The Englishman says, good name is better than silver and gold. Hence, our topic for today is remedies for damage to reputation. And I have a gentleman from Nigerian bar here to address the topic, and he is no other person than Barrister Chika Okeke. Counsel, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, the topic is remedies for damage to reputation. So, Counsel, without wasting much of our time, but we sincerely wish to tell you Happy Easter before actually we kickstart with this very program. And that's very important. So, Counsel, Happy Easter.
The same to you very much. And Happy Easter to our esteemed viewer out there.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, as the topic is remedies for damage to reputation, what is good name? Counsel, what is good name? And is there anything in reputation?
Well, good name is the good opinion or impression which people hold about somebody. It is the belief and the opinion as well as the impression people hold about another person. And this is one of the greatest assets which anybody could have. And that is why, as you rightly pointed out, even the Bible said that good name is to be chosen better rather than great wealth and riches. And in Igbo, there is an adage that says that good name is better than silver and gold, is better than wealth. That in Eziafa kego. So it's one of the greatest assets which anybody could boast of. It is an impression, as I stated before, an opinion which people hold about an individual. Thank you very much.
Counsel, could this good name be achieved in pretense? Because there's what philosophers used to call appearance and reality. Jude Mascot may always have his military face, but that talks a different thing about the actual person. So can't people be deceived by appearance, and the public will go out believing that this person is a good person? In reality, he's not a good person. What do you have to say about that?
Well, there is no doubt about that. Appearance is always very deceptive. In most cases, you find out that people are always very far away from what they appear to be or what they seem to be. But whether or not they are that which they appear to be is immaterial. What is important is that you don't have any power to defame an individual. If the person is not what he or she appears to be, it is not for you to use that as an opportunity to defame the person. Because you find out that all the issue about reputation or all the issue about good names, it depends on what you are actually. If you are not what you claim to be, you'll find out that one way or the other, you may be exposed. And exposing or, a kind of stating actually what you are in reality is not defamatory in nature. So if Mr. A is a thief, he has been stealing people's properties and all that, and you accuse him of being a thief, of stealing people's properties, you find out that you have not defamed him. You have not adversely affected his good name. For no one can claim a reputation than what he or she has in reality. So it doesn't matter whether the person is or the person is not what he or she appears to be. What is important is that we should be careful not to adversely affect someone's good name or goodwill or reputation as well. Thank you.
Some people have cried and gnashed their teeth over what I may call malignant nemesis, unjust punishment. Either the person is working in a company, something happened, and the person is being alleged wrongly. Hence, the company goes on air in one of the radio houses and said, Mr. QYZ is no more working with the company B. Whoever does business with him or her is doing so at his or her own risk. And this person is not happy. Does that such person have any remedy? Has this person been offended? What is the situation and position of law?
Well, like the picture you painted is contractual. And when any transaction is contractual in nature, you find out that whatever thing that happens with respect to that transaction or that relationship will be determined by the terms and the conditions of the contract. So it depends on the terms and the conditions of the contract. Actually, I do not see anything that is wrong in that, because you must notify the general public that this particular person is no longer with you, especially if the person, has been representing you out there. If the person is no longer working with you, you have a responsibility and obligation to let the general public know that this person has ceased to be your agent. Because if you fail to do that, it will be deemed that you have misrepresented the general public, that the person is still working with you. And if the person happens to adversary or to take advantage of the ignorance of the public on the basis of that, you'll find out that you will be held responsible. So the reason why especially corporate bodies are doing that is in order to evade liability and responsibility. So I do not see anything defamatory in that, except where in addition to letting the general public know that you are no longer with them, they now accuse you no longer of doing anything. If it turns out to be that you are not guilty of the accusation they laid upon you, at that point you may have a cause of action against them. But if it's just about notifying the public that you are no longer with them and that you are no longer their agent, that you can no longer represent them, I do not see anything. To the extent of
saying that doing anything with that person, whoever does that is doing it at his or her own risk.
Of course, in law it's called a caveat emptor. It's a question of putting the general public at notice. Let them know that the person is no longer with you. And if the person is doing anything, because you find out that in most cases you are actually addressing that statement to those who have been doing business with you. It's possible that the person, has been representing you in the past with a number of people. So you have a responsibility and a duty to notify them that this person is no longer with you. And if the person comes tomorrow and tell them that he's doing this on the behalf of the company, the company has a responsibility to tell them that you are doing that at your own risk. As I stated before, there is nothing wrong with that, provided they stopped at that. But if they take any further steps, like telling them that you are not reliable, that you are not diligent in your carrying out your functions and all that, you find out that at the end of the day, you may have a cause of action against them for defaming you.
Now look at this one. An armed robber who was convicted of a crime, and this armed robber was jailed. He served his jail term, and subsequently he was freed. And then somebody came out and they began to call him an armed robber, and his convict. Has he any good name to protect? Can the person be wronged for calling him an armed robber? He has served his jail term as an armed robber. subsequently got his freedom back again, and somebody calls him an armed robber, an ex-convict, and all that.
No, of course. You know that, as I stated before, the whole thing about defamation is making false statements against another person to the hearing of a third party. So you find out that for there to be defamation, the statement in question must be false. And so where the statement in question is not false, in the first place, there is no defamation. It doesn't matter whether the statement is defamatory in nature, because like one would always say in Igbo that he who fetched ant-infested firewood will have lizards for guests or something like that. So you find out that one of the defense against any charge or claim for defamation is justification. And what is this justification all about? Justification is telling the people, yes, I said it, but you did it. So you don't have any cause of action against me. You understand the point I'm making? So you find out that if the person is calling you an ex-convict, are you not an ex-convict? Is the person making a false claim or false statement against you? Of course, no. He's not making a false statement against you. So the statement, even though it appears to be defamatory, but the point is that he's making his statement against you. He's truthful. So you cannot hold him accountable for defaming you or damaging your good name.
Let's go for that this way.
Yes.
Somebody stole, whether as a thief or as an armed robber. This person was taken to court and subsequently jailed. He served his jail term, and at the end of the day, he regained his freedom. Is that person still an armed robber?
No,
he's not allowed to join the society again.
The question you asked before is if someone is calling you an ex-convict. You are an ex-convict.
And also an armed robber.
If the person is calling you an armed robber, the answer is
not me, the person.
Okay, of course, not you. If you are calling the person an armed robber.
Yeah.
So the answer is neither here nor there. In the first place, you find out that if you were convicted in the past of armed robbery, you'll find out that it will be very difficult for you to maintain an action against that person for defaming you. Because you were once an armed robber. You started the whole process. But for example, if you were convicted, jailed, and pardoned or served your jail term for armed robbery, and tomorrow another person is making a statement against you and accusing you of being some other crimes, not armed robbery, some other crimes, the person may have a cause of action against you because you are not that. If, for example, is calling you a pedophile, you were accused, you were jailed, you were served in jail for armed robbery, not for that particular crime. So if he's accusing you of that, you may have a cause of action against him. But if he's accusing you for that thing for which you have went to prison and all that, it will be very difficult for you to maintain an action.
What if that person is also a pedophile?
Of course, like I stated before, the same principle will apply. If you have been warned, once the person calls you that name, it doesn't matter whether you have served your jail term or not. You put yourself in trouble. For law cannot confer to you reputation which you do not possess, like you stated before. If you are pretending, if you are a pretender, you are pretending to be this, while you are not that. Anybody can expose you if he is factual. But where the statement turns out to be false, you find out that you may have a cause of action against the person. But if the statement is true, you can't maintain an action in defamation against the person. That's the point there.
Okay, thank you, the esteemed viewer. This is Citizens and the Law on ABS Television Channel 24. Okay, you can also get us on Star Times 113 and Metro Digital 29. The legal gentleman, the lawyer in the studio, is Barrister Chika Okeke, And the topic is Remedies for Damage to Reputation. The presenter remains Jude Mascot of Biago. Let's embark on a short break. We'll be right back now.
I like healthy food. I love tasty food.
You don't have to compromise on health or taste when making your meals. With new Matador seasoning cubes, you can cook delicious meals and still take care of your family's health. The only seasoning cubes with 30% RDA of iron and zinc to boost your family's immune system while satisfying their taste buds with a unique, long-lasting flavor. Available in chicken, beef, and classic flavors.
Counsel, is there any punishment on any person who publishes a defamatory matter, knowing fully well that such publication is false?
Well, in the first press, defamation is a tort. It is equally a criminal offense. So you find out that since it's a criminal offense, if anyone is convicted of the offense of defamation, you'll find out that punishment will naturally follow. So there is a punishment for anyone who commits the offense of defamation. That's on the criminal aspect of it. Once you commit any criminal offense and you are charged at court, and at the end of the day, you were convicted for that particular offense, certainly there will be punishment. And you find out that there are a lot of laws in Nigeria that prohibits making false statement or defamatory statement against another person. In the southern Nigeria, you find out that in the criminal code, it makes provisions against making defamatory statement against other peoples. And then in the northern Nigeria, you find out that they have their own penal code. And this penal code equally makes provisions, prohibiting making defamatory statement against another person. Then across board, we have cyber crime prohibition and Protection Act. This one applies across board. It applies throughout the Federation, and you find out that this act in particular equally prohibits making false or defamatory statement against another person. And so you find out that you may be charged. If you are in the northern Nigeria, you may be charged under the penal code. And if you are in the southern Nigeria, you may be charged under the criminal code. And if the false statement or defamatory statement is made via internet, some other internet connections, like through social medias and all that, you find out that at the end of the day too, you may be charged under the Cybercrime Act. So, and if you are convicted under any of these laws, you find out that punishment will follow. And these punishments, like if you are convicted under the Cybercrime Act, you find out that a jail term not more than 3 years may be imposed against you, and equally a fine of about 7 million may equally be imposed, not more than 7 million may equally be imposed against you. The court has discretion as per the number of years, not exceeding 3 years that you spend in jail, or the number of the amount that will be imposed against you, or two of them may equally be imposed against you. Then under the criminal code applicable in the southern region of Nigeria, you find out that you may spend up to 1 year or 2 years in prison for making false or defamatory statement against another person. So to answer your question specifically, yes, there are punishments. Once you have been convicted, punishment will follow. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Counsel. There is still viewer. This is Citizens and the Law on ABS Television, Channel 2 Oka. If you want to call us and ask any question, you can do that on 070-627-24192, 070-627-24192, or 090-729-72090, 090-729-72040. I am fast because the number is clearly pasted on the screen there for you to see. You can call us and ask your questions. Then, Counsel, could damage to one's name lead to the breach of peace?
Well, you find out that the phrase breach of peace is always very wide in context as well as in content. You find out that a number of issues could lead to breach of peace. In law, we normally call it a breach of public peace. A number of things. There are so many things that could lead to that. And the making defamatory statement against another person is one of factors that could lead to breach of public peace. For example, if you accuse someone of being responsible for the death of another person, maybe on the day that that person will be buried, you accuse that person. You find out that there may be placards everywhere, and that placards on its own constitute a breach of peace or breach of public peace. So making false statements against another person, there is no doubt, it is one of issues that could lead to breach of public peace. And indeed, this has always been the case. You find out that most of the issues we are having will normally start as just making false allegation against another person. We just start as a false allegation, and before you know it, it will snow into a full-fledged conflict or something like that. So there is no doubt making defamatory statement or false statement against another person can lead to a breach of public peace. And that is why people must be very, very careful about what they say against another person. If you are not sure of what you are saying, if you cannot defend what you are saying, because one thing is being sure of what you are saying, and another thing is your ability to defend that statement you have made. If you cannot defend the statement you have made, there is no point in making that statement, because you would put yourself in trouble, especially if that statement will be in print. Because you find out that defamation is actually in two forms: the libel or slander. Libel is where the statement is in standard form. The statement is said to be in a standard form where it is in a written form. So once any statement is in a print or in a written form, it is a libel. That one is more dangerous because it will continue to speak for itself, and there is nothing you can do about it. So before you put anything in writing against another person, you have to be very careful about what you are saying. Because if the person can get hold of that statement which you have made against him, you are gone. There is no way he cannot succeed against you except where that statement is true.
Can you bring social media into this?
Well, of course, because you find out that social media is the in thing now. That is where we are. All of us have become pocket journalists. We are on our daily basis. We are publishing things.
Let's get this caller.
Thank you.
Hello. 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 Go ahead, cancel.
Like as I was saying before, we have all become.
Excuse me. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, your name.
I'm coming from Enugu.
Your name? From Enugu. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good day. Happy Easter. Your name and location is off. Please, you have to try again. But the lady that called from Enugu. So, on the social media aspect.
Well, as I was saying before, that social media is
keeps calling. Let's know if we can get a person. Yeah, hello. Continue.
Yes. Yes, as I was saying before, social media.
Everybody has become a journalist.
It's the same thing. We are all journalists now. Everybody. That's why whenever anything happens, instead of sympathizing with the person who is in pain, everybody will be covering what is going on with his or her phones. So we have become pocket journalists. But the danger there is in knowing what you are actually.
Please cancel. Let's know if we can get this person. Hello? Hello? Yeah, good evening. What's your name and location? Yeah, good evening. Your name and location, then you ask your question. Okay, on pocket journalists.
Yes, as I was saying before. But then people must be very careful about the statements and the pictures and the image the secret through their social medias. Because if you make, in fact, it has been held by one of the courts in Nigeria that if you make any defamatory statement or any false statement via social media, that you are the person publishing it, you yourself, that makes the statement that you are the person publishing it. And if that statement is false, you may be held accountable for defaming the person against which you make the statement against. So you find out that people must be very careful about the statements they are making. They must be very careful about what they are posting in their Facebook, in their WhatsApps, and other social media. They must be very careful, because if the statement or the pictures turns out to be false, you may be held accountable.
Hello? Tune down the volume of your TV sets. Tune down the volume of your TV sets. Please, dear viewer, if you want to call us, the first thing you do is to tune down the volume of your TV set so that we can hear you clearly. Council, I believe very well that social media is doing a lot of damage.
Yes.
Calling out bad names, a lot of wrong stories, rubbish, particularly against politicians and people in government. Both the ones they did and the ones they did not do. So people are in confusion. Hello? 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 Okay, we keep managing on. The network is not very good today. It's not having issues at all. People are calling, but the network is not helping us. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. What's your name and location?
Hello.
Good afternoon. Your name and location. Your name and location.
My name is Kofi
Tochukwu from Oka, please tune down the.
Calling from Oka.
Okay.
Sochukwu.
Kosi, so tune down the volume of your TV so that we can hear you clearly. Please do tune down the volume of your TV set so that we can hear you clearly. Is there any way a picture or statue or caricature could be regarded as damaging to somebody's reputation? It could be a caricature, it could be a picture, it could be a statue. Is there any way it could be regarded as damaging to somebody's reputation?
As I stated before, defamation is divided into slander, where the statement is made by words of mouth, or libel. And you find out that what constitutes libel is very wide. When the statement is in a written form, it also includes where the statement is any form of print. It equally includes if the statement is not actually words, but also pictures or something like that. So you find out that when you make a pictorial image, which amount or constitutes defamation against another person, if that statement or that picture is not what you can defend or what you can justify, if it is false, for example, you are just, when you...
Excuse me. Hello? 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 Go ahead, ma'am.
You find out that in law in Nigeria, for example, we have what is called the fundamental human rights of Nigerian citizens, and these fundamental rights are constitutionally guaranteed. And you find out that one of the sections under that chapter of the Constitution grants each citizen of Nigeria rights to privacy and all that. So when you encroach into this particular right, or like presenting to the world an image or picture of, for example, that person having fun with the wife or something like that, you find out that even when that statement is true, the person may still maintain an action against you, but not for defaming him, but for encroaching into his right to privacy.
Hello? Not for defaming him.
No, not for defaming.
But encroaching into the right of privacy.
Yes.
That encroachment, is that not an
No,
aspect of defamation?
it's not. You find out that, like I said...
It's an embarrassment.
No, it's an embarrassment. It is. But like I said before, for it to amount to defamation, the statement in question must be false.
Okay.
So if the person could prove that this statement is not false, notwithstanding, you can still come under the enforcement of fundamental human rights and hold the person accountable.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, your name and location?
My name is Forever Precious.
Precious.
Huh?
Your name is Precious.
My name is Waka. I'm calling from Waka.
Okay, please go ahead and ask your question.
My question is,
Precious, you may have to call back. We've lost you. Okay, go ahead with what you were saying.
So the point I was making before is that, as I stated before, for the statement to amount to defamation, you must establish that the statement is false. But where the statement in question is not false, but it leads to embarrassment, it embarrasses you, you find out that you may come under the provisions of the Constitution.
We're talking about this picture, statue, caricature.
No, of course, that's actually what I'm saying. Because you find out that some of those pictures are something that we present the person in question in a way that will be to make a mockery of the person. So if that thing will actually lower the esteem of that person in the opinion and of the general public, in the eyes of the general public.
Hello?
good evening.
Good evening, please, your name and location.
My name is Pastor Biagiolo. I am calling
From
My
where?
name is Pastor Biagula. I'm calling from Lewi.
Okay, Pastor Biagulu, go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Does this thing include criticizing government when they have gone wrong, or when, talking about constructive criticism? Does it include encroaching into someone's right?
Okay, Pastor Biagulu. Okay, go ahead if you have any other thing to ask.
That's my question.
Okay, Pastor, listen now. The council will provide an answer to that.
No, you find out that there is what is called fair comment. And fair comment is one of the defenses against defamation. So if you are charged of making a false statement or defaming someone, but the comment or the statement qualifies as a fair comment, you find out that you will not be held accountable. Now, the whole idea of this fair comment, you find out that if there is no defense as fair comment, you find out that there won't be any newspapers today. All these media houses can no longer function, because what they are doing is actually a critical and objective analysis of facts.
Council, there are two things I want you to add there. Okay. One, he said against the government. Can somebody's statement against government, particularly when it is constructive criticism against government? And then he says again, is this an offense? Then you are talking about fair comments. What is fair comment?
That's actually what I'm trying to tell you now.
Because we have freedom of speech.
Yes, of course. Of course, we have freedom of speech.
Or expression.
But then, fair comment is a situation whereby you are actually bringing a piece of information which is very essential to the doorstep of the general public. So you find out that in a situation like that, what you are actually telling the public is that from what you have seen, or from what is likely to happen, that this particular thing is not good. It will not be for the betterment of the general public. It is called constructive criticisms. Because you find out that even if you make an allegation that someone has defamed you, or that someone has made what today we call hate speech against you, at the end of the day, a judge will determine whether that thing actually amounts to a defamatory statement, or whether that particular statement or comment amount to hate speech. So it's someone that will determine it. And then we now have what is called fair comment as a defense to all these things. So if at the end of the day it qualifies as a fair comment, at the end of the day you will not be held accountable. But if it doesn't qualify in the judgment of the person who will preside over it, you find out that you will be held accountable. So the discretion to determine whether a particular statement amount to a defamation or whether it amounts to hate speech lies with the judge, who will determine the issue. So that's the point. If the issue of making constructive criticisms against the government is taken away, you find out that the government can function well, because it is through these constructive criticisms that you put the government and the government officials on their feet to do what they ought to do. So there is no.
I don't think that the government is doing enough as regards taking action they're supposed to take against people who actually are tarnishing their image and running down the government via social media and some utterances.
No,
what's your take on that?
The point is, like I stated before.
Let's go if we can get this caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
I am still Pastor Biagula.
Okay, Pastor Biagula.
I still want to ask this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any word that is called hate speech? Because I believe that some hate actions may formulate into somebody bringing what we speak. I have never seen in my dictionary the word hate speech. What does it mean by using the word hate speech? Because it is not a word that can be found anywhere.
Okay.
Why in the first place we instituted such a thing, hate speech?
Well, you see, this hate speech stuff I don't know. Is it anywhere in law? Is it anywhere in Nigerian constitution? This hate speech is newly invented for people to protect themselves.
Well, the issue of hate speech, you find out that it is a usage. It is a usage. And we all know what amount to hate speech, whether we know it or not. Now, if you make a statement that qualifies as a hate speech, if the government want to deal with you, they will look for the law that says you should not make a statement like that. For example, if the statement is made through social media, then we go to the I think it's section 24 of the Cybercrime Act that says you cannot make any statement which you know is to be false against anybody. Anybody includes government officials. That you cannot make such statement against them. So the hate speech as a concept is just a mere usage. If, for example, you are charged for that, making that particular statement, on the face of the charge, you won't see anything like hate speech. But notwithstanding, we all know what hate speech is all about. Even though you will not find it anywhere, it is a usage. Like you said, the usage become more popular in the recent time, especially under the government we have now, where once you make any statement which is not palatable to them, they may accuse you of making hate speech. But you find out that most of all these things, speech that we classify as hate speech, they constitute constructive criticisms. And that is why, notwithstanding that people have been making all these speeches, have you seen them charge anyone?
How would you assess the reputation of some Nigerian politicians? I didn't say all, some.
Of course, making such judgment will be very difficult, and the controversy has always been there. And you can see that you have introduced the controversy by saying not all Nigerian,
of course.
Not all Nigerian.
Some of them are good.
Yes, of course. We know that some of them are good. There is no doubt about the fact that some of Nigerian politicians are good. But I can assure you that quite a large number of them are not that good. You'll find out that politics has become a kind of a business.
What's the relationship of these Nigerian politicians with a dwarf reputation and the hate speech?
No, the point, like I stated before, how many people have you seen being charged for making what we call hate speech? Of course, like I said before, if the statement is true, you cannot maintain an action against them, whether in civil court or in criminal court. So, because most of these Nigerian politicians are guilty of all those charges people are making against them, it will be very difficult for them to go to court. Because the moment they go to court, they will be exposed the more. And that is why they always find it very difficult, even to lodge a complaint at a police station.
Hello, my dear.
Go ahead. Pastor, go ahead.
I still remain Pastor.
I know.
God bless you. I still want to ask this question. This word, incompetent. If you say that this person is incompetent, will that be termed as a hate speech? And if you say that this government is incompetent, and from every indication, from the economy, from the of the government, you see incompetency, will somebody charge you for hate speech?
Okay.
Yes, that's my question.
If an incompetent person and an incompetent government is actually incompetent, is that a hate speech?
It doesn't matter whether the government is competent or incompetent. Competence is a subjective term.
Yeah.
So you find out that section 39 sub 1 of Nigerian Constitution allows anybody to hold opinion. So as I am, whether you are competent or not, I can hold opinion that you are incompetent. And the Constitution allows me to hold that opinion. And you cannot hold me accountable.
But if you are taken to court over your statement, you have to go there and prove.
Well, of course. There are so many, there is no way you can substantiate it. Like I said, it's a subjective term. You'll find out that how can we have a government that is competent in every aspect? So there is no way you can't have such government. Even if the government is competent in every aspect, I am still entitled to hold an opinion or to hold a view about that government. And you cannot hold me accountable or liable for holding a view. So even though governments from time to time, they have continued to accuse people of what is called hate speech or making that kind of statement, no, they are only holding opinion. And the Constitution allows them to hold opinion, and no one can.
For want of time, gossiping, false information, rumors have been running some people's businesses and work down. What does the law say about this?
Well, it is your duty. The law under our legal system, you find out that he who make any assertion that the onus or the duty is on him to prove that. There is rumor in the air, and they find out that the rumor has adversely affected your business. It is your duty to find out the originator of that rumor. And if you can tie that rumor to an individual, then you have a cause of action against that person. But if the person, if the thing remains a mere rumor and all that,
I think we've come to the end of the program. There is still viewer. At this juncture, we want to draw the curtain in our today's edition of Citizens and the Law. We may have to do part 2 of this program if necessary. The topic has been remedies for damage to reputation, and the lawyer in the studio has been Barrister Chiko KK Counsel. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. And happy Easter to our viewers out there.
Yeah, thank you. I Jude Mascot to Biago. Equally, I'm saying happy Easter. Expect us next Monday with part 2 of this or another interesting topic. Thank you very much for being part of it.